Hospitality Meets is brought to you by RotaCloud, the simple workforce management software for hospitality teams. RotaCloud lets you create and share rotas, record attendance, and manage your team's annual leave, all in less time than it takes to make a brew. It can also make life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request holiday, and even pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Bernadette Gilligan, General Manager of the stunning Conrad St James's in London. Coming up on today's show, Bernadette tells us her sporting prowess.
But now I can kind of hold my own in an NFL game.
Phil is left speechless. That's quite remarkable. And Bernadette tells us the company she likes to keep.
And I looked after Ed Sheeran at Wembley.
All that and so much more as we chat through Bernadette's fantastic journey so far. Bernadette has built a hell of a career just by staying with the one company, and she brings her A-game on stories. But there's also more than its fair share of learning for everyone. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a like and a share wherever you can. Enjoy! And a huge Hospitality Meets welcome to Bernadette Gilligan.
Thank you very much, Phil. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
My absolute pleasure. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. Enjoying these glimpses of spring that we're now enjoying.
Yeah, you can tell this is a British podcast because literally every guest I get on, we go straight into the weather. Without fail, almost. Without fail.
Yeah, I'm sorry to join that club. But yeah, no.
Should have briefed you.
You
beforehand. Should. Where do we find you today? Where are you sitting?
I'm in my office at the Conrad London St James. So yes, in my base. Yeah.
I was just admiring the Pan American Airways picture in the background there.
Yeah, it's a travel picture. My brother bought me this when he travelled to Hawaii. But I just love it because it's a picture of that golden age of travel where travel really began to take off in the 50s and just very glamorous, and people got dressed up and put hats on to go on planes.
Yeah, it's changed a little bit.
Slightly.
Yes, I'm definitely a shorts and flip-flops guy now when I'm on a plane.
Yeah, exactly, me too. It's much more comfortable. Who wants to wear a hat on a flight?
Absolutely. Great stuff. Well, look, we'll absolutely get into your property in the fullness of the discussion, but obviously before you got there, there's a journey. And I was thinking about this beforehand in the 250 odd conversations that I've had on this podcast. I can't believe this, but I think you're the first person I've had on from Hilton.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
That's an honor.
What is that all about?
I don't know, but we're a big company, so that's it's lovely to be the first. So even more of an honor to be here. Thank you.
No, yeah. And my absolute pleasure. I just can't believe it's taken me this long to, you're one of the biggest hotel companies in the world. Yeah. You're an amazing voice for this industry. And anyway, it is what it is. We have rectified that today.
I hope I set the bar at the right level.
Indeed. I'm sure you will. So take us all the way back to the beginning of your career. How did you get into hospitality in the first place?
Well, I think the bug came from my parents. They're very hardworking people. And my mum was a hairdresser, second generation business owner. She was very inspirational to me. She was a great person and she had amazing capabilities. And my dad, he was in the leisure business, and at one point in his career, he ran a hotel, and we lived there. And I was 6 and I got the bug, and we used to travel and stay in hotels, and I just love the hotel environment. So I think probably I'm very boring, but I decided to be a hotelier at the age of 6. And
6?
Yes, the receptionist put me on the desk and said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to do what my daddy does," and I've ended up doing that. But I seriously got into it when I was 14.
That's still quite young.
Yeah, still quite young. I earned £1 an hour cleaning rooms in a local hotel where I lived. And that's when my hotel and hospitality career started. And then I went on to study at university. Yeah, so I just had the bug from an early age, and I guess as a person, I'm quite dogmatic. So I just decided that was what I was going to do. And that's what I've ended up doing. I've loved it, and I've had a great career.
And then the rest is history. And thanks very much. It was nice to have you on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. I got the hospitality bug from my mum, I think. I learned a lot about hospitality, funnily enough, from my mum's hairdressing business. And, there was very much a sense of, there was back of house, and then there was this front of house in front of our clients, and she had very long-standing clients. And I was started taking rollers out when I was 3 and helping out in the salon.
God, you're a proper child labour.
I know, and I look back
person.
now, I think there's a little bit of slave labour going on, but yeah, no, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that whole sense of, the customers are king, and they make your business, and there's a way of looking after them and generating loyalty.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The thing about that is that I don't think we talk about that part of hospitality enough, because that's hospitality transcending its own industry. Like, hospitality is in other industries as well. Any time you're welcoming someone into your premises, whether
yeah,
you're a lawyer or a hospital or whatever, you still have to be hospitable, right? Or you should be, at least.
yeah. You hope so. Yeah, I think it does transcend that sense of being nice and being kind and looking after the people who want to engage in your business.
Yeah.
I think it's a sound value of doing business.
Yeah, absolutely. And still, it's not spoken about in professional terms like the rest, but we will get there. We will keep fighting.
Yeah, keep fighting.
We'll fight them on the beaches and all of that kind of stuff. No, that's something else, I think. So £1 an hour at your local hotel, cleaning rooms.
Yeah.
I remember, I think I was 50p an hour actually, but that was my parents. So
okay.
maybe there was a mates rates and all of that kind of stuff. But how did it move forward from there?
Well, I went to start studying hospitality. Our family moved to Nottingham, my father's job, and I ended up working in hotels in Nottingham. So had some fun, and I was working as a room attendant in the morning, waiter in the evening, going out partying with my friends after, and then studying in the week. So it was pretty full on, but as I say, great work ethic from my parents. So, used to burn the candle at both ends, so to speak. And then went to university, and I think pretty much I tried and failed to go and work in the US. So I guess it's my sliding doors moment. Was I tried to get a student visa to go and work in a hotel. And I remember writing in my bedroom hundreds of letters to hoteliers in America to go and do my 6-month placement in America. And I managed to get one in New York, but it fell through at the very last moment. So that fell about. So I went and did a placement in a 4-star hotel in the UK. And then when I finished university, I applied to the Ritz. And I got offered a trainee apprenticeship at the Ritz, a 2-year program. But my dad was, said, look, you've just done university, you should be getting on the management ladder. And, and I really wanted to work in a 5-star hotel, and I wanted to work at the Ritz. I was one, the bee's knees. And so they invited him for dinner, and they, tried to persuade him. But in the end, I listened to my dad, and I moved on to a 4-star. I ended up in a 4-star trajectory. And I guess full circle, it's taken me this long to get into the luxury market. But I arrived 2 years ago at this hotel. And I'm very much enjoying, being in that, having done a long full service career, but really enjoying this part and looking at it through a luxury lens and the differences and, really that elevated level, which I like because, in my spare time, I like to go and stay in nice hotels and go to lovely restaurants. And I just like that whole glamorous part of the business.
Yeah. That's quite remarkable. Because, there's a part of a psyche, and maybe even the Ritz felt this themselves, is who turns down the Ritz when you get
I know,
offered a job?
I know. I've looked back at that moment and thought, what was I thinking? But I am also a strong believer that life happens. Sometimes maybe you think you've got control over your fate, but maybe you don't, and things happen for a reason. And I ended up meeting my wife in Manchester, and had I not taken that trajectory, then we probably wouldn't have met. And we've been married now for 18 years. So,
but
yeah.
We've had the amazing Kate Austin on the show, chef extraordinaire, and she spoke about the exact same thing about sometimes you're not there for the job. Sometimes you are there for something else, and you might not know what it is.
No, exactly.
And
I'm a strong believer in that. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your ethos as well around the fact, we all try to grasp control of our own destiny, but stuff happens, right? And
Yeah,
you just have to roll with it, I
you
think.
do. You do have to roll with it. And sometimes, you just feel. I just feel this sort of power that's dragging you in a certain direction. But yes, but I'm here, and I've been in Hilton. Well, I joined Hilton in 1990.
And you never
And
left.
I haven't. Well, I did actually. I did
Oh,
have
did
a
you?
2. I did. I did have a 2-year hiatus in '95, and I needed to leave and just go and do something different. And I got a promotion from it. And then 2 years later, Hilton invited me back on a what was called masterclass. It was a fast track program to become a GM. So I came back and rejoined 2 years later, and that's 28 years ago, last month. So yeah. So I've been in Hilton a long time, and really enjoyed the journey of and seeing this great company grow. It's just gone from strength to strength. It is when I first joined, it is not the company it is today. Chris and Seta joined in 2007 and has completely transformed this company and its destiny and where we are and set about our values. And I've really enjoyed kind of looking at where we were before, when we were two companies, and then when we became one in 2007, and with Chris at the helm, it's been lovely to be part of and watch our trajectory and the development of Hilton as an organisation and how it's seen in the hospitality world today. And in between that, I've been able to, carve out a great career as a general manager over the last 23 years in the company in different locations in the UK.
Right.
And yeah, just it's a very nice place to be. When I interview people to come and join the company, they want to join us because they love what Hilton's about, and more importantly, they love what they read and research what our values are about, and they want to be part of that, which I think is great because I'm part of that organisation that people aspire to join and carve out their careers, which is great part of the job.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you around because it's not often that I meet people who have spent their career in one company. And granted, Hilton is not your average, ordinary, everyday company in terms of size and scope, and even
Yeah.
all of the different brands that it now has. But nevertheless, I can kind of understand in a big company like that, there's always going to be opportunity, and it's just a question of which direction you want to take that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been my next opportunity when when I feel that I've completed the role I'm in, and it's almost, yes, you're under the umbrella of Hilton, but you're still moving around every few years and taking on new opportunities and a new team, a new set of challenges, a new location, yeah, new objectives. So I think that keeps it kind of fresh in a way because you're in the same company, but you're going to work in different brands, in different size hotels, and every hotel is different. It's got its own characteristics. It's got its own atmosphere and environment. And what I love about taking that on as a GM is that, I think it's a very humbling job being a general manager because you're working with so many different people from diverse backgrounds, which I absolutely love. And I think it keeps you grounded, and that's a challenge in terms of coming to a new business and saying, right, okay, what's the atmosphere in this team? Where are the opportunities, and how can we inspire this team to really, grow and develop and do great things together. And I think you have to be very mindful as a general manager that you can change the tone of the atmosphere in a hotel, and that's a big responsibility because obviously you want that tone to be positive and going in the right direction. And so there's always things that kind of are thrown at you to kind of, stop that or halt it or
Yeah.
make it more challenging yeah. And you're dealing with people. So, that's always going to keep it fresh and new
And interesting.
and certainly interesting. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Totally. I'm just going to roll you back because we have kind of skirted over
Sorry.
about 20 years of your life. So that's fine.
Want to
That's all right.
bore people with my career. Yeah.
Hopefully you've learned by now that there's no structure to this. It's just, we go where we feel like it, to be honest. And that's
I'm happy to
pretty
do
much
that.
it.
It's a bit like a GM brain, sorry, because we don't like to do things for too long. So
Well,
we're happy to.
that's my brain as well. So yeah, this was always doomed for failure then, wasn't it? This chat in terms of any structure. For anyone who is still listening, we're very sorry, but sorry, not sorry. Yeah, so I want to just explore the journey a little bit more in terms of, did you always know that you wanted to be a GM? And And if so, I'm kind of guessing that yes is the answer to that. But how did you start to form the plan and how you were going to get there?
Yeah, I think I was always determined. It was just, I always wanted to be a general manager of a hotel. I just wanted to be at the helm of a business that I loved. And I guess I was a bit bossy. I've always been a bit bossy. I'm the oldest child, and I guess this role kind of suits my personality. I like to be in the driving seat, and the general manager enables you to do that, because I think as a general manager, you have autonomy. And I saw that as I was growing up in my hotel career. I saw, when I first joined Hilton, I was 23. I was conference and banqueting events manager in a brand new hotel. Great. It was a new opening. I loved that. And I was training the local kids to silver serve. We were still silver serving in those days. And, just training that skill to be offering a high level of service. And, and I had a general manager at the time, and he's very inspirational. He was very young at the time. I remember him winning GM of the year whilst we opened that hotel. And he had a very calm, leadership style. Yeah, and I just looked up to him and other general managers I worked with and worked alongside. And yeah, I was just very inspired by them and their personas and their ability to, I just think being at the helm of a business, inspiring a team of people to achieve great things is a blessing, really, because it's a very interesting role and very tough sometimes, very hard, very challenging. I think you have to have great resilience. You then 1 minute dealing with inspiring a team, building a team. You then next minute you're, driving the business forward, thinking commercially, driving the quality of service we offer our guests, and in between all that, you throw in crises and to deal with and things not going the way you want them to. And so I had that bug from a very early age. And, at 23, I was a head of department. I actually look back and feel sorry for my general manager, Tim, having to deal at 23, to be honest, as a head of department. And he taught me a lot. I remember learning a lot from him, because he had a great style about him, a great leadership style. And, he's quite a calming influence on me. But yes, every move I made was trying to push forward to become a GM as quickly as I could. And I wanted to be a GM by the time I was 30. I made it around 31.
That is such a failure. My God.
I know, what a letdown. But yeah, if I'd gone the Ritz route, I probably would have been 40. But
So you'd still be conference and banqueting manager.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Still cleaning and still polishing those coffee pots, the silver coffee pots. But no, so every move I made was with that in mind. And then coming back to Hilton on the Fast Track to GM program as well, masterclass. I just felt that was a great thing to come back to, because you on a program, you were being recognised, and in terms of career trajectory, they were you were being considered. And so then I went as ops manager into a hotel, and then moved to the Hilton Watford, which is right next door to our head office. So that was interesting because it was a very challenging hotel, because it's very busy, you've got a lot of focus, and it's got a big ballroom, and you get a lot of local people enjoying that hotel. And then my boss at the time was promoted to area GM. So that gave me an opportunity to kind of take the day-to-day operational helm of the hotel, start influencing the strategy and the commercial strategy and cutting my teeth on that. And that hotel has produced some greats in Hilton. People on Chris's board have started there, or President in America started there. So yeah, that was a hotel. That was a really fabulous hotel for learning and producing some great people in our organisation. So it was nice to be part of that hotel at that time. So, yeah.
This is the thing about, like, tough doesn't necessarily mean negative, right? That's the thing. The connotation can one breeds the other, and sometimes the tough moments are the moments that you absolutely need. One to teach you resilience, one to teach you problem solving. There's so many reasons why tough can actually be like a really, really positive part of your trajectory.
Yes, for sure. I think that's when you get most of your learning. That's when you're tested and you're pushed to your limits. That's when you really, that's when you learn, and that's when it prepares you for the future. And you kind of, because I think when you're early in your career, you're like a sponge and you're taking it all in and just, what you like the look of, what kind of leader you want to be, and all those things are going on. And if you're working in an environment which is a bit hard, then, that learning curve is steeper. And, you get those experiences that help you, that you can draw on as you become more senior, and then you're faced with, more serious crises. You can draw back on that experience, and, people look up to you as a leader and want you to make the right decisions. And so if you haven't had those experiences, it's tough to make the right decisions in those moments.
Yeah, I always remember Andrew Stenbridge from Iconic Luxury Hotels. Well, it's such a great name of a company, that, isn't it? Like, somebody needs a promotion who came up with that one. But he had a stint in a hotel in Edinburgh, which he quite openly spoke about was super tough. And the phraseology he used was something along the lines of that he got about 3 years learning in an 18-month stint.
Yeah.
And that's when it plays its part in being the it might not feel like it in every single moment you're in, but in terms of what it brings to your future self.
Yes, absolutely. And I kind of quite like dealing with that crisis part of being a general manager as well. I think I'm by nature a bit of a catastrophist. So I'm always thinking about, I always think the worst. It's terrible. It gets worse as I get older. But I always think if I don't do that, I'll try to talk to my team about it. If you think about, if I don't do this, what could happen? I'm really thinking like 3 or 4 steps ahead about things, because I don't want I think I'm always spending my life worrying about avoiding catastrophes. So I just, and I do, I just enjoy, look, I don't enjoy it. I don't want them, but when they happen, crises, then I like to step up to that plate and deal with it.
It's a call to action.
Yeah, no, and I think, mostly, I can deal with the crisis quite well. Touch wood.
And they are regrettably inevitable, right? I mean, it doesn't matter how perfectly you might be running things. There's always something going to happen that's completely unplanned for. With the best will in the world, you couldn't implement something to take care of it until it happens.
No, and as there's one particular crisis, but it demonstrates the human endeavour and how, when you're dealing with those crises, how you all pull together as a team of people to get through it. I remember one particular time in when I was running the Hilton Manchester, which was my favourite gig because it's my home city, and I got to look after some fabulous Manchester icons whilst I was there. And we had our transformer go, and it was a very hot day, and there was a party political conference going on in the city. It was just about to start, and if for those of you who don't know, Hilton Manchester Deansgate, it's in a Beetham Tower. It's a 23-story. It occupies the bottom 23 floors of the hotel. It's a great hotel, had a great bar. It was, it was a brilliant opening. And anyway, this particular day, we due to be full. All 279 rooms were occupied. People were arriving for the conference, and at 2:30 in the afternoon, I was in my office. The transformer went, and I could tell by the sound it was horrible. And so I grabbed my lipstick, my 2 phones, and my keys.
I love the priorities there. Lipstick first.
And I think that was the last time I saw my office for about 2 days. And at the time, 7 lifts were full of people. We had a banquet going on for 400 in our ballroom. There was we were due to have 500 that night. And that just, and then you can see in the lobby, and your team, right, what do we do? And that's when your leadership is tested, and you inspire the team around you to deal with that crisis as best you can, and call the fire brigade to get the people out of the lifts, and make all the calls you need to get. And I just remember gathering a group of my team, the head chef and the conference and banqueting manager. I said, listen, I don't have time to kind of really, but I've got you a room down at the Radisson Edwardian down the road, and they've given us a ballroom, so you're going to move tonight's function to the Radisson Edwardian. And I said, listen, I'm just going to have to leave you to it. Thank you so much in advance. Just go and grab what you need and get down there. This is your contact. And they did an amazing job. And they were wheeling tables. They were wheeling the food. They were just gathering everything they could just down the road to the Radisson Edwardian. And I remember them coming back to the hotel, and we were still dealing with the crisis. It went on for a few days, but they were given a standing ovation by the client for pulling it off. And wow. That's just teamwork. And it was just, it was just amazing. what we all pulled off, and how, calling on the Hilton machine to come and support and get generators. But it was a time of the Japanese earthquake, so there weren't enough generators in the country. They're all in Japan. And we needed a huge generator. I think it was 2 kilojoules. And so we had to do we had to evacuate. We had to empty the hotel again on the second day. So, yeah, it was a very challenging time for the hotel, the team. And that's where you pull together as a team and do the best you can. And those times are testing, but, that's when you really are grateful for that team spirit you have in a hotel. And,
without question. And when everybody has each other's back in that moment, that's a really, really special thing. Really special.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's very easy to be friendly when everything's running smoothly.
Yes. Yeah, so I look back at horror at that, but also with pride, in the way the team and we all pulled together.
Yeah, but what I also love about that story is the industry collaboration as well.
Oh God, yeah, no, exactly. Our competitor down the road accommodating us and helping us. Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, no, and Manchester City is it's a small city, and what I loved about being Manchester at that time, there was some, great people around in sort of the leadership of Manchester, like Richard Lees and the late Sir Howard Bernstein, and they also were very supportive of the hotel opening, and everybody pulled together in the city to make Manchester great. That was everybody's, and there was a team work going on to attract, business to Manchester, and we were part of that, and it was I did enjoy that aspect of Manchester, because it was a small community. Although it's a city, it was a small community, and we all absolutely supported that aim of making Manchester an attractive destination.
5-star hospitality means having the right people in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly where RotaCloud can help. RotaCloud is the online platform that makes planning rotas, recording attendance, and managing annual leave easy. Its simple, drag-and-drop interface lets you create and share rotas with your team in minutes, while our built-in budgeting tools mean you'll know exactly how much you're spending on staffing before sending the rota out. RotaCloud also makes life easier for your staff, allowing them to check their rotas, request time off, and pick up extra shifts, all through the RotaCloud mobile app. Start your 30-day free trial today by visiting rotacloud.com/Phil and find out how much easier managing your team can be.
Yeah, there's a cracking message for the whole of hospitality in that, in terms of, we ultimately rise together, and we fight the same battles together. And actually, when that happens and we realize that, that's the turning point where we all realize that if we just all club in the same direction, there's nothing that we cannot get past as a collective.
No, and I think there is great camaraderie in the hospitality industry, and I do think, when I was lucky enough to go to ILTM, the luxury trade show in Cannes this last year, what I love is that everybody together, the clients, the agents, the hoteliers, they all mixed together, and it's not kind of course it's competitive, but there is a sense of camaraderie in this hospitality business, and it's a small world, isn't it, as well? And people will have worked together in different companies and know each other, and so I do love being part of this industry and this company, and it's fun, and you get to do fun things. It's not only crises, it's building your teams, working with teams.
Yeah, that's an important message as well, isn't it? Really, it's not just constant crisis management.
It's not. Those are just a few and far between, but mostly it's about giving a platform and providing an environment where people can be safe. And I think Hilton are really, really good at that, and that's what I love about this company, is that we provide a very safe environment for everyone and have a great DEI, values. And, it's safe. And I'm married to a woman, and I feel very safe in Hilton, being able to be open about that. And I think it's true of all my colleagues, whoever you are, whatever you are, Hilton's a great place to be. And I do enjoy that aspect of it, and providing that safe space for my team and the teams that we work with. And Yeah, so there's much more to hospitality than crises. It's, there's that, and delivering great service and working out how you deliver the best service, and yeah, so there's so much to this business. And then there's the fun stuff, meeting. I remember being in Manchester meeting some icons. I grew up watching Coronation Street. It was my home, to meet Hilda Ogden in person, that was something special, right? Because I'd grown up on Hilda Ogden, we were from Manchester. Our family goes back generations in Manchester. But, there's some great football greats as well to spend time with there. And, I just think, you meet the great and the good in this industry as well. So,
Yeah.
you can't, what's not to like about the hospitality business?
I mean, absolutely. And you always remember your first celebrity, right? That's
oh
that's
God, yeah, we was. You too.
Yeah, mine was Gregor Fisher. Do you remember Gregor Fisher?
No.
He's a Scottish actor, very big in Scotland. He was Rab C. Nesbitt, if you ever remember.
Oh,
Rab C.
yes,
Nesbitt.
sorry, I do know. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Where did you meet him?
So my mum and dad had a hotel on the west coast of Scotland on an island called Tiree, and when they opened that up, they basically opened everything for as long as they could. So they would finish breakfast, go straight into a tea room, had a tea room for the day, shut that, go straight into dinner service, and then rinse and repeat through. And it was really, the objective was just to get as many bums through the door as possible, to put it on the map and all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, totally. And this is the wonderful thing. I take massive inspiration from my folks, because they had zero hospitality experience before they did that, but they had a dream and they had an idea, and they just followed it with everything that they had. But Gregor Fisher walked into the tea room one day, and it's probably the only time in my life I've ever been starstruck. I got starstruck when Raymond Blanc walked into a room that I was about to interview him in for this show. That was definitely a moment. And I'll never forget, my mum had these very famous cream meringues that she did as one of the dishes that you could order along with your coffee. And he ordered one of these things, and they were massive, like really massive. And never forget the line when he saw it. He just went, and he's really Rab C. Nesbitt type voice. Jeezy peeps was actually what he said. And I've always remembered that fondly, and what an absolute gentleman he was. And allowed us, there was no selfies then, so you had to stand on a wall, not on a wall, but next to a wall, and get a proper photograph taken. But yeah, lovely man. And the thing that we forget about celebs is that they are still human beings.
Yeah, they are. And I looked after Ed Sheeran at Wembley, and he had,
of course you did.
Yeah, and what a lovely family. And what impressed me most is that we had his after show after his shows at Wembley on the top floor of the hotel, and we were getting to capacity, and we had very strict fire regulations up there in terms of the numbers, so we were getting to capacity, but there were still people wanting to come and join the party, his friends and family. So I liaised with his father and him, and what amazed me is that celebrities were asked to leave the party so he could bring in friends and family.
Oh, I love that.
I know. I just thought that was lovely. And
there's a boy who's got his priorities absolutely.
I know, absolutely. So I was quite blown away by that, because it was, I would have loved to have had all of them up there, but regulations are regulations. So yeah, that's the decision the family made. So yeah. So it's nice when you see them as human beings. Yeah,
totally, absolutely. I'd love to get Ed on the show, to be honest, because he is now involved in hospitality. So if you're listening, Ed, I doubt you are, but if you are, yes, please come on the show and tell us why you're backing hospitality at this time, because
that's great. Yeah,
getting people like him on message as well, and utilizing the profile that these guys have is massively important to the industry in terms of showing its worth to the world.
I think so, because I think, sadly, hospitality can be seen as not the best career by some people. And I do think we should do what we can to say, listen, there are some amazing careers to be had in hospitality, and very serious careers as well.
Yep.
And at all levels and in all aspects of our wonderful sector, and I think we need to all be shouting as much as we can about that, and encouraging people to join this great business of ours, because it's fun. It's hard, but fun. And, and there's lots of fulfilling careers in different ways. And and what I love about this is you can come in with, qualifications, you can come in with nothing, but people can mix together and have the best careers. And there are thousands of career paths out there.
Yeah, totally.
There's no right way round of making a way through it and fighting your way through it. And, the world's your oyster. It's literally, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but the world is literally your oyster when it comes to the world of hospitality, because you can be anything you want to be. You just need to have the desire and the hard work and want to get on.
Could not agree more. And I have the slogan in my head, which this is where I had aspirations to become a thought leader when I was in my early 30s. I might be there now, I don't know, but I came up with a slogan actually, which I thought just encapsulates everything that we just kind of said, which is that this industry allows you to build a very serious career whilst having an awful lot of fun.
That's absolutely right. I think that's a perfect way of putting it, Phil.
Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't put it better myself. That was an excellent way of summing up our business. Yeah, for sure.
Very good, very good. We haven't finished your journey yet.
No.
So I think we left you. You were operations manager. So bring us home. How did it unfold to end up where you are now?
Yeah, well, my first proper GM role was the Hilton York, and there'd been a Hilton and Stackis merger at the time, and it was a Stackis, and my job there was to go and rebrand it as Hilton, which was brilliant. So that got a lot of traction as I arrived into the city. York is another great city, and I love living in York. It's a fabulous place. And again, lots of people in the city wanting to, improve York as a destination. Not that you need to. It's hordes of people want to go and visit York every year for good reason. But yeah, it was lovely. It was a small hotel. It was 130. Took it through refurbishment, and it was quite daunting. I remember that first moment, becoming a GM and walking into the hotel and waving goodbye to Eric Brown, my predecessor, as he drove off with his wife into the sunset. I remember his car leaving the car park to enjoy his retirement. And that was wow. Now this is my responsibility.
It's got real.
Yeah, it's got real. And there were some lovely people in that hotel that helped me. And in particular, there was our sales manager, Sandra, a very good friend of mine who sadly passed away a few years ago. But, she really helped me. And I think that's when I learned as a GM, and I do this all the time when I take on a new hotel, is seek out those people who can really give you an insight and the people who want to help you and have a passion to want the hotel to move in another direction perhaps, or give you an idea of where to maneuver it. And Sandra was one of those people, and I think she kind of took me under my wing because, as I said earlier, I was 31 and probably had still a lot to learn in life. Well, I did have a lot to learn in life, especially in developing my leadership style and driving the commerciality and of the business. And yeah, I'm grateful for her friendship. And there have been other helps along the way. So York was brilliant, and at the time, moving it to the Hilton brand gave an opportunity to drive the commercial success of the property and looking at it a different way than had been done before. And, I had a new revenue manager who's still a friend, and we kind of transformed the success of the hotel. And that was fun doing that, and builds your confidence where you try new things and you can see the opportunities in a business and, where it can improve. And, from the top line, from the guest experience to the team member experience. So yeah, and I'm someone who likes to look at it from the top line. I like to, I think when I look at the hotels I've been given, there's always been a reason to sort of look at them differently. And I think I'm good at going into a business and shaking it up and seeing where the opportunities are. I think I like to leave a legacy that the business I have moved from is in a better place. It's in better shape than it was when I arrived. And that I enjoy that challenge. So I went from York, and then my boss decided I should take a sideways move and go as director of business development over we were forming a new revenue cluster at the time, and we were going to encompass all the 5 hotels that we had in Yorkshire. And he wanted me to take the helm and be the director of business development and pull those businesses together from a commercial point of view. Very difficult job because, you're going into from a position where as general manager, you can call the shots a little bit more, to a position where it was, well, the biggest learning for me was that, listen, I don't call the shots anymore because there are 5 general managers running these hotels. There's an area general manager. This then is about influence. And I think that was, influencing. I found that job very difficult. And looking back, I think it taught me a lot and certainly developed my leadership. I'm a bit like, talking about your reference earlier about having a learning curve in 3 years, but doing it in two. I learned so much about my leadership style and how, I needed I needed to make it more sophisticated. I need to enhance it. I need to get better at it. And, and those general managers taught me that, because in order to make those change, and it was change, and people don't like change, and it's, take the sense of they're not as autonomous as they were before, that there was all that going on, and it was hard. Yeah, so I learned a lot about my style. And I think I think I was glad I took that job. It was a sideways move, but it wasn't a sideways move. And it really taught me a lot about commercial strategy, and that's so important when you're a general manager, to have that commerciality and that head, to know, what decisions to make, and be, confident enough to make those decisions. Yeah. And so I don't think I would have been promoted to open the Hilton Manchester Deansgate had I not taken that. I think my trajectory would have been different. And then I ended up finding myself in design meetings with the Beetham organisation, architects, designers, Ian Simpson in Manchester, and who built this amazing structure in Manchester. And at the time, now Manchester's full of skyscrapers. At the time, this was probably the only skyscraper. It was 47 stories tall. It was a big deal, and it was the first skyscraper probably outside of London. It was the talk of the town. Everyone wanted it.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, and it was 2006. And I was so excited. I remember receiving the plans. I was blown away. And I was so excited that I was going to be the general manager of this iconic property opening in Manchester with its Sky Bar, which I then went on to work with Robbie Barr from the Gorgeous Group, and we came up with Cloud 23. When we opened Cloud 23, it was ridiculous. People were queuing around the building to get in. I can
imagine. Yeah.
No, it was so mind blowing, and everybody in Manchester wanted to use it. We had a great restaurant downstairs. We had a beautiful ballroom for 500. So, we were able to pull on a lot of the lovely city events. And, I did a lot, some events for a very famous football manager, from a very famous team, because I'm a Red. And
I think we might have to let's end it there.
Yeah, so I did some of his iconic moments, like his 20th anniversary lunch and so on. So this job for me was the bee's knees. I loved it. And being part of the city of Manchester and talking about those people who are very supportive of it. And on one night on Cloud 23, there was a Coronation Street star wanting to get in. I'm not going to say who it was, but I didn't recognise them because I hadn't watched Coronation Street for a long time. And I said, look, you can't get, I can't remember the reason. And they got very annoyed. And then it was awkward because he realised I didn't know who he was, and then that was the next thing I do is watching every episode of Coronation Street, and I know exactly who the cast is, and
in
that
case
won't
they walk
happen.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He didn't use the line. Do you know who I am?
Not quite. No. But I loved being in Manchester. I loved that whole period. I think it's one of my favourite hotels I've ever run, because it was just so iconic, and people. It was just really fun hotel to run, but also behind the scenes very challenging as well, because there was lots of things going on. But it was brilliant, and I met my wife there, so it's a very special place and my birth town. It's just that's what I mean about fate, Phil. It was a great time. So yes, I went and had great fun for 6 years in Manchester, and then I thought, for both our careers, actually, we were running out of ideas in the Northwest, sadly. And so we felt that for both our careers to, thrive, a London move was a good idea. And so I moved to London in 2012. And I took the Hilton London Kensington first for a year and a half, which is a massive hotel, really enjoyed it. And for a few months there, I had to be in the transition from Manchester to London, found myself living in Holland Park. So that was lovely, and nice part of the world to live in. And then I went to Wembley, and it had been open a few months, and the GM had retired after opening it. And I went in and almost had as much fun, if not as much fun, as I had in Manchester, because there you're dealing with football teams, Ed Sheeran's, concerts, NFL. It's a fantastic.
I've had a pre and post drink in that very hotel on the back of a gig.
Yeah, no, exactly. And what I loved about Wembley is that, and this is what I love about hospitality as well, it's quite tribal. When AC/DC are playing at Wembley, then you get the AC/DC crowd in with the black t-shirts, and and then you get you get the Burnley fans, and they're all wearing flat caps, and it's just, there's just sort of these, it's and that's what fascinated me about Wembley, is of the tribal nature.
Brilliant.
The people that would, fill the hotel no matter what was, whether it was Andre Rieu, whether it was Ed Sheeran, AC/DC, Eminem, I don't know, or the NFL, and the hotel was filled with all these amazing people, and so much going on. So yeah, Wembley was brilliant. I loved it. And then we were doing X Factor every year, and it was fun. It was just a lot of fun. It was fun. It was a brilliant team, a real brilliant team in Wembley to work alongside. And then I moved to Doubletree Tower of London. That was in the City of London, huge hotel, 600 bedrooms. During my time, we launched Savage Garden, which was hugely successful pre-pandemic, and a hard hotel to run, very challenging, and very rooms focused in terms of the positioning strategy. And then I took that hotel through COVID, which we don't want to talk about.
I don't understand what this thing is. I mean, everybody keeps talking about it, but
and so that was, and then finally from that turn down of the Ritz in 1980 something or 90, arrived at Conrad London St James, which luxury hotel, loving it, great hotel, great great stakeholders, and again, great team of people I'm working alongside, and enjoying my time immensely, and being in that luxury world, and how it and just delving into that, and being lucky enough to go to these trade shows, and moving in a different part of the hospitality world. I'm really enjoying it.
That's not coming across, Bernadette, to be honest. That last section there, when you said like that kind of little nod back to the Ritz moment, as it's probably referred to in your whole life now, is the Ritz moment.
The Ritz moment. I
felt like it needed a Hans Zimmer soundtrack or something like that, just playing in the back, like this big. We've made it. We've done it. We've got back to the top of the mountain.
Yes. No. Yeah. Thank you. Love a Hans Zimmer soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. But no, I mean, look, God, what a journey. I mean, and you have, like, it definitely feels, and this is from the outside looking in, that the Conrad St James's has got to be one of Hilton's flagships in London, if not the flagship in terms of high profile luxury, all of that. I don't think I would be too remiss by saying that. No. But look at all these other iconic hotels that you've also worked in on your way. Like the Deansgate property, nothing had ever, they'd never seen a hotel like that in anywhere outside of London. Yeah. But also the Wembley experience, we'll call it, because that must have been just an absolute hotbed of experience and life and
joy. Yeah. So I'm just thinking, one of the insights somebody taught, when I arrived at the hotel, the sales manager there, he said, listen, if there's one thing I can advise you, go after the NFL. And because they weren't using the hotel at the time, and I just, worked hard with the NFL and my contacts, and got them in, showed them around the hotel. And, I was so glad I was really tenacious and went after that business, because you then find yourself immersed into another world, and, you're spending, extraordinary time with people who are hugely professional, who are so passionate and so hardworking about their world in terms of, how the NFL is structured and the team cultures, and looking at, and it's fascinating because you see how each team has its own culture, its own set of values, and how they go about doing business. But, the crux of it all, these people are just so dedicated to what they do, and, being involved in that, and, being exposed to those professionals and how they operate, and, sending my chef out to Miami to see how they, cook, and so we could get the food right for them when they were there. And it's such a great, thing to, and then go and watch the games as well, and then learn about NFL, because I had no clue before then how the games worked. I would just watch NFL games and think, what is going on? But now
as I think a lot of people still do.
I think so. But now I can kind of hold my own in an NFL game and whoop in the right places, which, is quite proud of. But because I know what's going on. Brilliant. That was a great play. But no, so they've been fun times, and
So, and how did Conrad St James's come about? Was this something came up and you thought, right, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, or did somebody approach you within company and said, I think your time is
Yeah,
now?
no, definitely. We have an application process. So it's all very fair. Roles that come up are posted and advertised, and of course, you kind of get inkling what jobs are going to come up, and so you apply and you go through the process, and you're mixed in with both internal and external candidates, and you go through a number of different stages. And normally, if the hotel is under ownership, then the last stage would be being presented to ownership to make sure that they are happy with the appointment. And yeah, so it was quite rigorous.
So you didn't just waltz in.
No, I did not just waltz in. And I have applied for other roles, and you don't necessarily get them. And so that's what I mean about Hilton values. It's all very fair, and there's a due process that we all go through, which I think is great.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, your boss will have said that I think you've got a good opportunity here. You should put you should apply. But that's how it works. So
Right. Yeah. And describe that feeling when it was becoming apparent that you were going to get the job, because it's that step back into luxury, which that sliding doors moment all the way back, the Ritz experience or whatever we called it earlier on.
I think I put it on my LinkedIn, my lifelong dream has been achieved today. I'm joining this team as general manager and into the luxury world. So it just felt great. And I'd been in my other hotel 6 years, and I was ready for another move. It'd been a great hotel, done great things there. But I was ready after 6 years to. It's like Wembley. I would have loved to have stayed forever, but you're kind of in a cycle. This is May's the FA Cup, and you kind of September's NFL. So I like to keep changing fresh. So I wanted a new challenge, and I was lucky this came up, and I was lucky enough to be appointed, and I'm delighted. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, talk to me about the property. What for those who don't know where it is, what it is, just give us an overview.
Fabulously located, and we get a lot of positive comments about the hotel from our guests, because I'm lucky to work alongside a wonderful group of people here, a lovely team who really go out of their way to ensure our guests get a great experience. We're beautifully located next to St James's Park tube station, so literally a guest here can walk and within an hour have taken in all the great sites of London and the heritage sites of London. So you walk down out of our Blue Ball pub where we serve brilliant fish and chip by the ton, and you look out and you can see Westminster Abbey, and then walk in the opposite direction and just through to Birdcage Walk and to Buckingham Palace, and in 5 minutes. So, and then if you're bored of the heritage part of London, you can jump on a tube within about a minute in St James's Park and be anywhere in London. So our location is great. We have the wonderful Hem restaurant, headed up by Sally, who loves to support brilliant careers for women in her kitchen. Great restaurant. And then we have our Blue Pub, which is famous and very popular with politicians, tourists, families, couples, kids. So it's a great pub, and I've got some great people running that pub. So, and then we have 256 lovely bedrooms and suites. Yeah, and the owners are great, and and Hilton work well together and are constantly investing in the hotel. So so it's a lovely hotel. If you haven't been, come and join us for a drink, at least in the Blue Ball, or try Sally's Food in the Pan.
Well, yes, absolutely. I have been, and I was lucky enough to interview Sally for the show just as she was releasing her book last year. I think that would have been June-ish.
Yeah.
And she welcomed me into the private dining room where we had our chat, and what a beautiful space it is.
It is really a gorgeous space.
Yeah,
it is. The colours are beautiful. The floor reflects the tiling of Westminster Abbey. It's very tied into the hotel's history of our location and its history with the suffragettes, and so it's a beautiful restaurant. Yeah. I really
No, stunning hotel, and I mean, do you know, Ed, when I was approached to have you on the show, I looked at your background. I was like, what are we going to talk about? Because you've been in one company for pretty much your whole career.
I know.
And here we are, an hour later, and I knew that I didn't need to worry, because there's always a reason for something. I think back to your 6-year-old self who knew that you were going to be doing this. I find that remarkable. As a 47-year-old self, I still don't know if I'm doing what I should be doing. So I'm in awe of somebody to actually really nail that down as early as you are. I think you definitely have won the show with that, because I think it's only Harry Murray, I think he was 14 or something like that when he went, I'm going to be a hotel GM.
Okay, well, I'm glad, yeah.
Yeah, nobody does it at 6, but you did. You're a pioneer.
Yeah, and it was funny, I went back to the hotel where I made that decision in Southport, and weirdly, I don't think it's had much refurb over the years, but the desk where I sat and said that, it was still there. I was so shocked. It was like,
really?
Wow. Yeah.
I love that.
That's amazing. But
I love that. Yeah. But no, I thank you so much for your time today. It's been a proper joy to listen to your journey. And I mean, in an ever increasing competitive market space that you occupy in London, I cannot believe the room supply that's coming in the luxury space. It is relentless.
It is.
But you definitely have a very special property. And for those who haven't been in yet, I would absolutely recommend getting in.
Yes, thank you. Please come. But yes, no, it's a fantastic hotel. And yes, but it's good for London. We have all this going on, and it's competition is good as well, because it keeps you on your toes and makes you want to just keep being better. So, but yeah, it's a fabulous hotel. So come and have a drink at the Blue Boar. But it's been a pleasure to chat with you today, Phil. And thank you again for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure and an honour.
My absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I really
fantastic.
Enjoyed
have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Well, thank you, Phil.
Bye-bye.
And there we have it. It was fabulous to get some time with Bernadette, and what an eye-opener it was for me. My first journey with someone who has built their entire career in just one company. But what a journey it is. And that marks the end of this season. I'm going to take a short break, but I'll be back in the summer for some more cracking journeys from hospitality. And I'll see you then.